later 2011, I started talking to this gentleman online in England, and he was an attorney and had his practice there and everything. And he was inviting me to England. He's all, Tamra, I want to marry you. This is where you're going to live. You got to come over. And I couldn't get anything going. I mean, every time I'd teach a class, I would say, this is probably going to be the last time I'm going to teach this class. And I didn't know why. I didn't understand it. And I went over to connect with this guy, and I'm like, holy cow, this is not my soulmate. And I'd been seeing him on Skype, but it just, whatever. It had to he was my carrot to get me to England, you know. And I went for a walk one morning, walking through the park, and started screaming at God again, what the hell am I doing here? You know. And as soon as I said that, I heard, go to the Roslyn Chapel, Tamra. And so I went back to his house, and I told him and his friend, who his friend was a Buddhist and very spiritual and a writer, and I said, God told me to go to the Roslyn Chapel. He says, oh, Tamra, that's known to activate your 12 strands of DNA. You should go. So I booked a train and a B&B for Scotland for the next day. God told me to call one of my clients, Vera, in Scotland, and have her meet me at the chapel, and I did. And so we sat there, and I sat in the chapel, and I said, okay, God, I'm here. And I was connecting to the seventh plane like I'd learned in theta healing to talk to God. I'd been talking to God my whole life, but it helped me understand the process of what I was doing. So I connected, and I said, okay, God, I'm here. And I was told to go to the sixth plane, which is known as the laws of the universe and the Akashic records. So I went there, and there was this being standing there, and I'm all, who are you, and what do you want? You know? And he's all, I'm here to assist you. And I said, okay. And then when that happened, all this energy, this vortex, this spinning energy started coming down and through my DNA. I could see it going into my DNA. Then I saw it followed up by all these golden seals stacking up. I went, wow, that was weird. And it happened, it was like 10, 15 minutes this was going on. Our heads hurt. We were dizzy. I was told to ground ourselves afterwards. And then Vera and I went to lunch. And on the way to lunch, I heard, you're now crystalline and give this to others. And then she dropped me off at my bus stop. I never talked to her again. I think I scared the crap out of her. And I went home to my B&B, and I started calling all my friends. Guess what happened? Do you want some? And everybody's all, yeah. So then I knew I couldn't stay with this guy anymore. So I Facebooked a friend of mine that from Facebook, never met before. He'd interviewed me once on one of his radio shows. And I said, I need a cheap place to stay, but I can't leave. I can't leave London. I knew I had to stay. I said, but I can't afford much. And he says, well, funny thing, my girlfriend and I just got this new flat. We have a room for you. Come on down. So I met him so this guy that I was with took me to this train station to meet Vincent, and I went and stayed with him and his girlfriend, and I was there for about 6 weeks. And then I was going to have to leave because his daughters were coming in from France. And during that time, I went to Stonehenge, received another activation, and that one scared the crap out of me. And that one's called Avebury Stonehenge. I sat on the bench, and the energy started flowing in, and I'd never felt anything like that in my life. And I started screaming in my head, of course. I wasn't doing that in Stonehenge. Stop, what are you doing? So this is how sacred activations begun. My first year, there was 16 activations in my first year. There's over 300 now, 5.5 years later. And it took me a year to integrate those 16 activations. And most of the beginning activations are sacred geometry activations. So they activate the sacred geometry within your body. And then they change hundreds to even thousands of belief systems.